River Nile, a lifeline of millions of people across 11 countries, faces a growing threat from plastic pollution. The plastics are micro and macro, including PET bottles and polythene bags. In urban centers such as Jinja and Entebbe, plastic debris enter water systems through drainage channels and improper disposal. In some areas, like the source of the Nile, the need to attract tourists dictates the level of cleanliness, as Ivan Kakaire, a local tour guide, highlights.
For us here at our workplace, there are some rules, just making the river clean, tidiness. Like littering is not allowed. For those people who litter, still, when we find some bottles, we drag them out. Imagine you are attending to some visitors from everywhere. They come to see the source of the Nile. So it is always your honor when they come and they find everything clean.
In Serere District, wetlands like the Awoja wetland system, which serve as natural water filters, are overwhelmed by plastic waste coming from the Serere main market.
We have poor management of garbage because, as you see, you can see how the market is surrounded by garbage. Somebody can buy water, then after taking water or drinking water, he just dumps it anyhow.
Plastics disrupt the wetland's natural functions, such as water purification and habitat provision, clogging pathways and degrading its filtration capacity. This pollution affects water quality downstream, impacting aquatic life and communities reliant on the Nile for drinking water, fishing and agriculture. The fishing industry also contributes to the problem, as fishermen use plastic bottles as flotation devices on their nets. Landing sites such as Opura and Kagwara in Serere District are particularly affected, with discarded plastic bottles and fishing gear accumulating in the water.
And mainly we use these plastics bottles, or we put them on nets, we go fishing.
Plastics end up here because fishermen buy water and bread, and after consuming them, they carelessly discard the packaging, which eventually makes its way into the water.
A study titled Plastic Waste Transport from the Nile River and its Major Tributaries into the Marine Environment, carried out by the Nile Basin Initiative in 2022, found that over 75% of fish sampled in River Nile had microplastics in their gastrointestinal tract, with Nile tilapia the most commonly eaten fish heavily impacted. Many fishing communities are unaware of the long-term effects of plastic pollution. Here at Kagwara, the biggest landing site in Serere District, plastics are littered everywhere, from the mainland and to the water body. And as you can see, but surprisingly, the fishermen say they do not know if these plastics are dangerous to the water body.
Some are aware of it, but some are not aware, because the deal for those days that these plastic papers, these bottles are not good. They can cause any damage in the water. But as a common man, a fisherman, he doesn't know that bottles can bring any problem in water.
Needs to sensitize the fishermen, those fishermongers, even us. Someone takes a soda, drops it there. Takes this waragi, drops the bottle there.
Despite efforts to remove plastic waste, such as an initiative carried out by the German Corporation for International Cooperation GIZ in 2020 at Kagwara Landing Site, the problem persists, with 188 fishing boats at Kagwara Landing Site, each using multiple plastic materials per trip. The pollution burden continues to rise unabated.
One net takes about 5 bottles. Now assuming you have 8 nets in your boat, you multiply by 5. So you get the number of bottles that you will need in your boat.
And now when you put those plastic nets in nets, they can untie themselves. And when they untie themselves, they either float or sink in water. And now a majority of these, now those ones have already entered water. 2 men have entered in water.
Despite the key role played by the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, in environmental protection, they declined requests for an interview for this story on what strategies they have in terms of addressing plastic pollution in the Nile Basin. Without concerted efforts from stakeholders including NEMA and public engagement, the pollution crisis threatens the long-term health of the Nile and the communities that depend on it. HERBERT KAMOGA, NTV.